Welcome back to our channel. My name is Teacher Smith and today we are going to understand a very interesting method. The name of the method is crossing method. Now, before understanding this method, let's take an example. Let's take a question to understand this method better. The question says, a shopkeeper bought 550 oranges and some apples. He found that 8% of the oranges and 2% of the apples were rotten, and hence the percentage of fruits in good condition was 95.25%. The question is asking how many apples did the shopkeeper buy? Now, here in this question, we have some percentages given to us and some numbers. We need to find out the number of apples. Now, whenever you see question based on percentages and the numbers, there is a relation that we can establish. Now, how to find out this relation? We can find out this relation by using crossing method. So let's first understand what is this crossing method by a simple example. Let's say I have three boys whose average score is 80 and I have two girls whose average score is just 30. Now if I ask you find out the overall average, what it will be? It's just 60. Now observe for boys. From the average score of boys to the overall average, what is the difference here which we can observe? The difference is just 20. Now, similarly for the girls, it is 30. For two girls, it's 30. They need to achieve 80. What is the difference here? The difference is just 30. Now, is there anything that we can deduce from this? This means for two of the girls, the number that they need to achieve is 30. For three of the boys, the score that they need to lower is 20. What we can understand is for 20 and 30, if I convert it into ratio, this ratio is just cross of the number of boys and the number of girls. Let's see how. For this 20, it's just 2 and this 2 represent number of girls, 2 girls. For boys is 30. This means if the ratio is 30, the ratio is just 3. Just in a cross. Now why? The question arises, right? Why is it so? Is it only for this example or all the examples like this? It will be similar for all the examples. Now why is it so? Here if you understand, for 3 of the boys, for every boy it is 20. This means for 3 of the boys it will be, it is just 60. This means the marks that they need to reduce is 60 marks to get the overall average 60. Now, at the same time, girls should also increase their marks. The number of marks they have to increase for one girl is 30. So, for two girls, it is 20 multiplied by 30, which is nothing but 60 again. So, 60 is lowered for boys, 60 is increased for girls. It's 1:1. This means the ratio here that we can see will be in a cross. Now, do we need to make this diagram every time to get the ratio of numbers? No. What you can do is just write down the number. Here, for boys, we have 80. For girls, it's 30. The average is listed here. For boys, average 80. Girls, average 30. The overall average is just 60. Now check how I'm going to write down the difference between the average. From 80 to 60, the difference here is 20. I'll write down this difference like this. In a cross, for girls, it's 30. From 30, they need to achieve 60. The average is 30. I wrote it down like this. Now 30 is to 20. If I convert this into ratio, this simply becomes 3 is to 2. And this 3 is to 2 is nothing but the number of boys and the number of girls, that is 2 is to 3, right? So what we used is we used a method called as the crossing method by which we found out the ratios but in numbers. So crossing method can be used not just to find out averages, it can also help us to find out percentages and word problems involving concentration as well. So here, how this example is related to the example that the question that we are solving. We are solving question based on oranges and apples, right? For that, let's try to find out a relation between it, that how we can use crossing method in percentages. Let's take a small example of oranges and apples. Let's say I have just 60 oranges and I have just 40 of the apples. Now, out of the 60 oranges, 25 is rotten, and for apples, 12.5% is rotten. Now, if I want to find out the number of rotten oranges and apples, for oranges, 25% of 60 is rotten, right? Now, for apple, 12.5% of 40 is rotten. If I find out the number, 25% means 1/4 of 60, which is nothing but, now 12.5 is nothing but 1/8 of 40, which is nothing but 5. Now here, rotten percentage is given individually, right, for oranges and apple. If I find out the overall rotten percentage, how much it will be? The overall number is 15 plus 5, which is nothing but 20. The number is 20, but the percentage is nothing but, let's check the total number. The total number is 60 plus 40, which is 100. 100 means total is 100%, out of which 20 is total, so percentage will be 20%. Now, if I try to find out the relation between it, let's see. If we use the crossing method, from 25%, I got 20%. This means it is reduced. For oranges, it is reduced. How much? Yeah, we can find out the difference. Orange is 25%. To get its 20, if we cross it, it becomes the difference, that is 5. Now for apples, it's 12.5. But the overall rotten percentage is 20. The difference here is just 5. Right? So 7.5 and 5. If I find out the ratio between it, the ratio will be simply 3 is to 2. Now check this 3 is to 2. Can we see this 3 is to 2 anywhere? It's just the number of oranges and apples in actual ratio, right? So here, from the percentage of rotten, we got the percentage of the numbers of apples and oranges. So this is how we can use crossing method in our example. So let's see. Shopkeeper bought 550 oranges, but here we need to find out for apples, right? But the percentage given is for rotten. For oranges, it's 8%. For apples, it's 2%. This means if I find out the overall rotten percentage, how to find it out? Yes, good condition is 95.25. This is 95.25. So rest every other percent is just rotten. To find out, it's just 100 minus 95.25, which is equal to 4.75. But for oranges, it was 8%. From 8%, it went down to 4.75%. But for apple, it was 2%. It went up by some percentages. But this percentages is nothing but cross we just saw. So if I write it down like this, raw oranges, apples, we need to achieve 4.75. The difference between these numbers is just 3.5. And for apples, it's just 2.75. If I convert it into ratio, that is ratio of oranges to ratio of apples, the rotten percentage, the ratio is simply 11 is to 13. Now what does this 11 is to 13 corresponds to? This corresponds to number of oranges and number of apples as well, right? So how to find out number of apples? Because this is in ratio. 11 units, 13 units. Is there any exact value given? The number of oranges, that is 550. So 11 units represents 550. 1 unit is nothing but 550 divided by 11, which is 50. So 1 unit is 15. We need to find out for apples. Apple is nothing but how many percentages? It's just 13U. So 13U, value of 1 unit is 50. 13 multiplied by 50 is 650. So here, just by using crossing method, it's just a matter of few steps to get the answer. So remember, by using crossing method, we can get a relation between the total number and the percentage average, whatever is mentioned in the question. Now this question was based on ratios. There was percentages involved too. So that's the reason why, to build more of the knowledge based on fractions and ratios, we are doing a free workshop this Sunday, that is on 12th May 2024. The topic for the workshop is fractions and ratios, and it will be based on your NMOS topic. Now, one thing to remember, this is a offline workshop. This means you have to come down to the center to understand the topic. But how to register for it? Yeah, the number mentioned is my number. You can contact, you can message me on WhatsApp to register you for this workshop. Now, I'm Teacher Smith, currently signing off, but I'll see you in the next part. See you.